Hello, guys. Welcome to Mastermind 2023, the Women Leader Special powered by Nucleus Office Parks. Now, the core idea is to interview dynamic ladies who power their companies, handling crucial roles, drive growth, as well as value for employees and partners. So, ladies who are CEOs, marketing heads, HR leads, group sales heads, Copcom heads, CSR leaders, as well as strategy leads. But the only caveat is they've got to be all ladies. There's never been a better time than now for gender diversity and inclusion in India Inc. And ladies like who we're introducing you today are at the forefront of this change and movement. Very pleased to welcome Aditi Patil. She's Vice President HR at Dream 11. Hi, great to see you. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me here, Hrishi. Lovely to be here.
I love your spectacles. For those of you who are listening, who are watching on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. But those of you who are watching or listening to pure audio, she's got these lovely red frames for her spectacles. Now, a lot has changed in your core line of work also. And one of the most recent changes has been the impact of AI, and I want to start with that. Artificial intelligence and its impact on talent strategy, work models for better productivity, upskilling, overall employee well-being. We'd really like to know your thoughts, Aditi.
So I think emerging technology, especially AI, has definitely changed the way of working. For example, chatbots take away the mundane tasks for you and help you focus on more strategic initiatives. I think it's very important for every company to be able to give their employees a platform to experiment with technology and understand the pros and cons for them to be able to use it better. We at Dream 11 follow this philosophy of experimentation, where it's important to adopt and adapt wherever it works for us. Very recently, this year, we conducted this hackathon in which the theme was AI. And we called it out as, unleash your genius and harness the power of AI to create the coolest innovation that sports tech has ever seen.
Wow.
And I think we made it a mandatory event. So we started off with our partners like AWS, Google, Azure, all setting up booths showcasing the applications for various use cases. And then we went on to 48 hours of hardcore coding and, building our own applications. So every employee in the company, including the management team, had to participate in this. And I think at the end of it, there was a demo of the application that you built. And I think we saw some amazing propositions that, our employees came up with that we've looked at implementing now. So I think Dream 11 is at the forefront of working with emerging technology to offer a world-class user experience.
Wonderful. Now, what is your advice to all the young HR professionals out there, Aditi? You spent so many years doing core HR. What should they follow to be successful? A lot of them are getting thrown off by this new advent of AI. You've obviously very comfortably assimilated into the mainstream via events like what you're doing. But your advice to people who are not that malleable?
Earlier on, people stuck around at jobs for long term. Then there came a phase where people moved every time they saw that they would get a huge increment. I think now people, or rather longevity is seen where, companies have a great culture. So I think it's important for every HR personnel, first and foremost, to be culture custodians and drivers of culture for their organization. In addition to that, I think it's very important to focus on building and fostering relationships, to be approachable and empathetic. Essentially, your employees need to feel comfortable and speak their mind with you. You got to stay ahead of the curve. You got to invest in continuous learning for yourself. Embrace technology. You can't miss that. Otherwise, you're going to miss important opportunities. Be adaptable. The landscape is changing. Be open to change and new ideas. And last but not the least, I think focus on employee development. Invest in training. It does not only benefit employees, but also the overall success of the organization.
I love that, there is a pronounced accent on mental health. I believe you have a 24/7 wellness helpline at Dream Sports.
That's true.
Talk about what you've achieved in the mental health space with initiatives like this, and most importantly, how well it's been received, Aditi.
Yeah. With physical health, mental health was equally important, and hence the need to remove the stigma when it comes to seeking help for mental wellness. I think mental health is a fundamental to individuals' overall well-being, and it significantly influences the individual's thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and the way they handle decision-making, relationships, and stress. We at Dream 11 tied up with Santulan way before COVID, but we really saw its absorption spike up during the COVID times. I think what worked really for us was the fact that it's a 24-hour helpline and it's anonymous. So, people don't hesitate to reach out. And the fact that, it was available not only to every employee, but to his entire ecosystem in which, they live in. And so it was extended to their family members as well.
I want to talk a little bit about yourself and your role at Dream 11. In particular, what has been your focus over the last couple of years, Aditi?
So I joined Dream 11 way back in 2014, and I've been a part of the company and seen it grow from 8 to 800. When I interviewed for this position and I spoke to Harsha and Bhavit, I think they were so focused and passionate about building a company with, great culture and essentially being a people-first organization is what actually resonated with me. I think I take immense pride in the fact that I was involved alongside all the other employees to actually define the cultural values of our company. And, over time, we've seen it grow and also build out various unique and interesting policies and benefits that we've built out for the company. So there's this quote that says, for everything to remain the same, everything must change.
Nice.
And, I think that makes a lot of sense for a company like Dream 11, because as things scaled from 100 to a 200 to a 400 and then an 800, we had to tweak our HR policies to make sure that the culture and things in general wouldn't change for our employees. So I think, we've had to relook at our policies and benefits time and again as we've scaled. And I think it's heartwarming to see that, we have an attrition that's below industry standard, which I think is an affirmation that all the hard work that we have put in working as a team is repaying off.
Terrific. Now, this is an attempt to learn some of your leadership skills, that people can benefit out of it, especially ladies out there who are listening. How often do you have to be assertive, and how often do you have to be friendly to get your work done? And when do you choose to be assertive as opposed to being friendly, Aditi?
So like I mentioned before, right, we are focused on being a people-first organization, and the focus is to build and foster relationships and to take the friendly route wherever possible. We must understand that, most of our employees come from different backgrounds, and hence we need to be flexible in the way we, approach and deal with these people. So you need to have a good balance being when it comes to being friendly or when it comes to being assertive. I think, however, there are things like, if something that's going against our culture or our ethics or against our policy compliances, then I think we have to be very assertive, and that's where we are always assertive.
Business continuity processes came under the limelight during the pandemic, and now, Aditi, people seem to be concentrating on them more than ever before. Your thoughts on office business continuity in the event of any disruption? Because now we know that disruption can happen anytime.
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, we've all been through a difficult phase, one that we hope never to see again. So we at Dream 11 at that point were in a mode where we were completely working out of office and then had to make the switch overnight in terms of working from home. Thankfully, being a tech-savvy company, we all had our individual laptops and we needed stable internet connection at home. So those boxes were ticked. But I think kudos to the management team. They really stepped up and got into action immediately. I think the first thing that we did was we brought in a project management tool to be used by the entire company. And this was purely to bring in visibility and transparency in terms of what the teams were working on. I think the next thing that we did was we set up regular town halls and created a platform where employees could raise their concerns. And being an employee-first organization, both Harsh and Bhavit invested their time to address these dreamsters. On the business side of things, the sports funnel had completely dried up. There was no live sports being played. And I think hats off to our team for being super innovative, wherein we diversified our offerings, including the fact that we were the sponsors of the Dream 11 IPL in 2020 as soon as, sports opened up. Overall, I think, big kudos to the founders and our management team for being available and hands-on and going back to our culture where they led from the front and kept teams motivated all through this.
You've been given so many awards over the last few years. One of them that comes to mind is the 50 Great Mid-Sized Workplaces Award.
Yeah.
What is the secret to Dream 11 being a great workplace that people think, you're worthy of getting these awards?
So I think our secret sauce, like we call it, and we've always maintained, is our culture and the fact that it's, driven top down. We don't compromise on anything that's against our culture and our value system. And we genuinely focus on driving our culture, and we do put our culture first. So do put is actually an acronym for our cultural values, wherein D stands for, being data obsessed. So all our decisions are backed by data. We say 90% data, 10% gut. O stands for ownership, where we look at signing the best players and getting out of their way. P stands for perseverance, where we say play hard, work harder. Your effort is valued greater than the result. U stands for user first, where, we believe that sports teams are nothing without their fans. So we focus on user problems in terms of what we're looking at solving. And T stands for transparencies, which means hits, misses, learnings, and the game plan is openly shared with everyone.
Nice. Now, put your HR hat on again. What are some great ways to increase diversity in recruitment? Moves you've seen have successfully led to more diverse recruitment.
So I think in order to cater to a diverse set of users, having a diverse workforce always helps. For us, any hire is purely based on cultural alignment, along with the need to have, the right skill sets. And to increase diversity, I think first and foremost, it's important to hire a diverse talent acquisition team or a recruitment team. And then another concept that I've read of, which is, blank resumes, is something that's always intrigued me. So I'm not sure if you've heard of this orchestra called Philharmonic Orchestra. Yeah.
Most large cities in the world have their own philharmonic orchestra. For example, in Mumbai, at the Jamshed Baba and the NCPA, we have the SOI, the Symphony Orchestra of India, which is a philharmonic orchestra.
Yeah. So I think they conduct blind auditions to make orchestras more diverse, right? So while the audition is on, they actually all perform behind the screen so that, there's diversity that's maintained and there's no bias that comes into play. And this is to make sure that selection is purely based on merit and eliminates bias. I think if it comes to recruitment, it would be interesting to have blank resumes where we, hide the demographics and let people be selected or shortlisted or qualify for the next round of interviews purely basis their skill and their experience.
Have you started doing that?
We tried it as an experiment for a quarter. But what we realized was that we anyways focus on culture and, skill sets. So it didn't really matter.
94.3 Radio 1.